What up, y'all? St. Pete. So, in this video, I'm going to talk about the Kyballion because I feel like it's probably it is the most important work out there. It really is the keys to unlocking the cage that's all around us, the hidden bars that block us in from gaining greater awareness of oneself. When I first came across the Kyballion like 10 years ago, I really didn't get it. I didn't see the significance because I really didn't understand the cell, to the extent that I do now, and, you know, um, if I were to have the opportunity to only keep one book, it would be this book. More than likely, this would be the one because you can read this every time you read it, you learn something different. I mean, it's that deep. It's like the deepest shit, you know, that's really out there. It's crazy, you know. But you have to have the eyes to see, the ears to hear. So it's the first time you're hearing about natural law. Shit going to sound a little crazy, but I tell you, all the stuff that I looked at, over the years, and this right here, is, you know, it weighs up. It essentially, plays out, and it's the solution. This is how we unlock the cell. Um, it's simple, but it's not easy. So this is just some stuff that I wrote about the Kyballion, the seven Hermetic principles. Yeah, yeah. So this is just some stuff I took down over the last couple weeks. Rereading this and writing some stuff down as I was reading and researching it. I'm not an activist. I'm an activator who is practicing alchemy when I talk about natural law. The alchemist attempts to turn these base metals into gold. I interpret that to mean turning base consciousness into higher or golden consciousness. Golden consciousness is bringing your thoughts, emotions, and actions into accordance with natural law. Natural law requires no belief, it is inherent, meaning it's been here since the creation of the universe, and regardless of belief or not, you are bound by it like gravity or electromagnetism. Natural law is based on principles that are immutable, meaning they don't change and exist for as long as the universe exists. Unlike man's law with a lowercase l, natural law is when you see law capitalized, even in the middle of a sentence. Natural law, we're talking about God's law, thy will. So, man's law, lowercase l, it's arbitrary, you know what I'm saying? It changes. Laws differentiate from invisible lines. From New Jersey here, laws are different all over. They're arbitrary. It's to the wind. It's not based in nature. And that's what natural law is, based in nature. This based on conditions that are inherent to the way that the universe was created. That's what natural law is. And that's what the Kyballion, breaks down with the seven Hermetic principles. So, natural law is to be harmonized with due to knowledge and understanding. Living in harmony with natural law leads to freedom, peace, prosperity, survival, and evolutionary progress. So you harmonize with natural law. Natural law isn't like man's law. That's that you feel like that shit is just there. You're just trying not to get caught. Like, it's just I'm just trying not to get caught. And if I don't get caught, no crime occurred. And natural law with a capital L, there is no escaping the fate of that. There is none. You know what I'm saying? As an individual and a collective, you know, that's we could talk about that further, but there is reasons why that that is. So, but yeah. So you're to harmonize with it and come to know it, see the expressions of natural law in nature, and be like, damn, that's the way the fuck is, and you, that's why you really trust in the process of the truth discovery process because once you know natural law, that gives you, you know, that gives you the motivation and the momentum to know that you're smart enough to figure out what's going on around you, at least, you're able to apply these natural law principles so that you could wither away any lies, because that's what lies fold. Lies fold like a fucking lawn chair on a hot summer day against natural law. So natural law, the lies will just melt off like fat. Once you really know it and you apply it in the truth discovery process, which is grammar, logic, and rhetoric, what I'm saying? You already know, you've got your grammar, you apply the logic, the rhetoric, what I'm saying? Using the quadrivium, and you can, come to have an understanding of what is possibly to be known. Okay. But you come to do it, man. Someone isn't forcing you. There's no force involved in natural law. You can't be forced to know this. I'm not forcing. This is influencing. If anything, I'm just saying, look, I read it. I think this shit's deep. I'm just influencing. The alchemist is an influencer. Okay. So, living in harmony with natural law leads to freedom, peace, prosperity, survival, and evolutionary progress. I'm going to unpack some of these ideas of natural law. First, things first. What are rights? The most general way of knowing what your rights are and what your rights are not is to envision yourself and one other person on an island and ask yourself would it be okay to take the action. It's that simple. Rights can be looked at as correct, like 2 plus 2 equals 4. Right. 2 plus 2 equals 4. It's right. It's correct. All right. Rights can therefore be regarded as correct behavior based in truth and moral behavior based in natural law. Correct and moral behavior are actions that don't cause harm to someone else. It's real simple. I mean, it's like fucking first grade shit, you know. But that's your right. If it's not causing harm to someone else, you have a right to do it from God, you know. And the only thing you have a right to control is yourself. So, you technically you can almost, we have true freedom. As long as you're not causing harm to someone else, you have a right to take the action. Just keep that in mind. Okay. Under God's law. You say you believe in God anyway. All right. Rights can therefore be regarded as correct behavior based in truth and moral behavior based in natural law. Correct and moral behavior are actions that do not cause harm to someone else. Since there are so many actions that do not cause harm, we will use the apophatic method of inquiry. This is known as the affirmation through negation. We will come to discover what our rights are by knowing what they are not. We don't have the right to murder, rape, steal, or trespass. These are natural law transgressions or immoral actions. Immoral, harmful actions. A living being must be harmed or defrauded in order for a violation of natural law rights to have taken place. Rights that do not exist for an individual cannot be granted by man's law to any other individual or to any group of individuals. You can't give something that you don't have. If you didn't have the right to do it, then you couldn't give it to somebody else. You cannot give something you don't have yourself. Let that sink in, because that's going to be a huge hurdle for people to get over. If you don't personally have the right to do something, how could you possibly give it to somebody or someone or something else? Man's law is based on dogma, meaning what you are told the laws are, compared to natural law that is to be discovered by observation as inherently existing. Man's laws. Man's law changes on the whims of legislators compared to natural law that doesn't change and exists as long as the universe exists. If man's law happened to come in alignment with natural law, then man's law is redundant. There's no need. It's already been done. Natural law has already stated fucking Johnny obvious. This is what it is. And then man wants to come along like, oh, I'm making a law of the same thing. Like, bitch, we don't need it. It's already been written. It's redundant. But if man's law is in opposition to natural law, it is false and immoral. It therefore cannot be binding on anyone. We're not binding on anyone. It's bullshit. Man's law can be broken without consequences and is only complied with due to fear of punishment. Fear is the lowest form of consciousness. Natural law governs the consequences of our behavior as an individual and a collective, and there is no escaping it. It's called karma. You know, man's law could be broken. If you don't get caught, then no crime happened. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much the philosophy. And, that just leads to chaos, as we see on the streets. You know what I mean? Because people don't realize that if all these people are continuing in behavior that is causing harm and suffering to other people, the conditions around them as a collective are going to be fucked. And that's why we're all fucked. Because what I'm saying? We're all only a fucking mile or two away of, absolute chaos. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows that. So, man's law, you don't get caught, nothing happens. Natural law, it governs the consequences of behavior. Period. So if you go and fuck somebody up, that person is going to go and fuck somebody else up. They then fuck somebody else up, and that just keeps continuing and continuing and continuing until people are just at each other's necks. Now we're at each other's necks for the dumbest shit. All right. Natural law governs the consequences of our behavior as an individual and a collective, and there is no escaping it. It's called karma. Natural law is in place for consciousness to expand to greater and greater awarenesses of oneself and the world we live in. A person brings their thoughts, emotions, and actions in accordance with natural law out of agape love, the highest vibration, because it's the right thing to do, not out of fear of getting caught. You're not doing the right thing out of fear, because fear is a low vibration, which doesn't hit that vibration when it goes through your DNA. We're talking about vibration, which is another natural law principle of vibration and rhythm. And, when this is going through, this frequency is going through your DNA, it's not waking. You can look at Greg Braden and he shows you like fear frequencies, how they're low and they're not hitting on all cylinders. So you're not tapping into your DNA. You can't tap into your DNA if you're coming from a place of fear, of survival, of fight or flight. Anxiety is fight or flight. If you're coming from that place, your DNAs aren't hitting on all cylinders. Go look at Greg Braden experiment. Okay. All right. Natural law is in place for consciousness to expand to greater and greater awarenesses of oneself and the world we live in. A person brings their thoughts, emotions, and actions in accordance with natural law out of agape love, the highest vibration, because it's the right thing to do, not out of fear of getting caught. Living in opposition to natural law leads to control, which I said brings chaos, control, enslavement, poverty, war, evolutionary stagnation, which we're going through, and eventually extinction if we continue this kind of behavior and we don't get our actions together as a collective, at least, more than what's going on now, to bring some type of balance. You know what I'm saying? You know, the goddess is gonna come down and fucking wipe this whole thing out. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna come down here, Eris. I think that's Eris. You know what I mean? If we don't get into the Isis, goddess of love, and bring natural law and put that into place, Eris is gonna come through and teach us with all the chaos. That's what we're dealing with, chaos. And we're supposed to be seeing this chaos, this rape, violence, and murder all around us. And, be like, hey, I need to take different actions so that I could cause new effects. Like, we sitting here dwelling in the effects and never going to the causal factors and causing new effects to happen. So we get caught in the same fucking cycle of history repeating itself because we refuse to change our actions. We refuse to change ourselves. And, you know, we keep getting the same fucking results. So, knowledge of self is necessary to be the king or queen of the kingdom of self. Knowledge of natural law principles must be discovered to be able to be fully embraced, to fully embrace self-ownership or sovereignty. Same thing. First principle of natural law is all is mental, meaning everything that exists is a mental construct and existed as a thought first. Every action, everything that we see playing out in this world, was a thought first in someone's head somewhere. That's just the way it goes. You know what I mean? Everything had to be a thought first. Um, so, addressing the fact that the universe is comprised of thought energy, this the frequency, natural law principles of frequency and vibration. These all tie in. This is all just the way shit works. How shit comes, to coalesce and manifest, and the world that we see, is all taking place on the unseen realms, on the subtle realms first. You know what I mean? The metaphysical realms, the realms beyond the physical, the five senses. In the metaphysical realms or the spiritual realm, the realm that we can't see, what I'm saying, is where all of the stuff is coalescing. And then we finally get, the effects of that, whatever that is that's coalescing, we get the effects of that. And, you know, we get dealt fairly. So if what we see is fucked up, what I'm saying, like that's because on the metaphysical and the spiritual realm we fucked up, and that's what it is. People think it's a political situation that you're going to vote yourself out. It's a spiritual situation that motherfucking humanity is in, because spirituality hasn't grown a motherfucking inch, and technology has gone up like this. We've been so out of balance with spirituality, simply just meaning that which is going on around us, not involved in, fucking uh tech, you know what I mean? Like pretty much anything outside of tech, you know what I mean? Getting back into touch with nature, spirituality, understanding that we're a spiritual being having a human experience, you know what I'm saying? Like really knowing that, not just fucking saying it or not even knowing it, understanding that you're a spiritual being having a human experience. Well, that's evolutionary stagnation that comes along with control. That evolutionary stagnation spiritually is where we're suffering the most from, but we're growing in technology and we're repeating the same, same shit that probably happened in Atlantis and in prior civilizations. You know what I'm saying? From my understanding. Um, so the first principle is all is mental, meaning everything that exists is a mental construct and existed as a thought first. Your thoughts and what you think will determine what action you take. It becomes of utmost importance to have your thoughts and thinking based in truth. The universe is comprised of thought energy. You are the author in authority. You, as author, you're the author. You're, the author in authority. Okay? You're supposed to be. You're so fucking supposed to be. You can't give that up. And that's where your dumbass, that's where our dumbasses, we think that we can give that up. You know what I'm saying? Like we think that, we can abdicate our responsibilities. And we can't. We can't do it. You are the author, whether you like it or not. So you fucking better do a good job, and you better learn what the rules of the game is, because this whole fucking life is a game to be played. Learn the rules. That's what natural law and hermetic principles are. You are the author and authority. You are your own author narrating your experience called life. You are a sovereign being, meaning you are the ruler of the kingdom of self. You are that. Take the reins. If not, then you're allowing somebody else to rule your Solomon, your temple, Solomon's temple. The rebuilding of Solomon's temple is the rebuilding of man. Okay, it's man is the fucking temple. Take control of your temple. Be the fucking ruler of your temple. This is your temple. You rule it. Don't give up your responsibility to rule yourself to fucking somebody else. And what I mean by that is just listening to whatever it is you're fucking told without going out and discovering it for yourself, why you fucking believe that and why you're willing to stand by that and even condone it, because that's part of being a good person as well. Is you don't get good person points if you fucking are just sitting there silent and not saying nothing. All right, you don't qualify fully as a good person. You might still be cool and you might be nice and polite, but to fully qualify as a good person, you can't sit in silence. You know what I'm saying? Well, watching that shit take place, that shit affects you, man, because you're not understanding it. You think shit is separate, everything's connected. It sounds corny, but that's the fucking way it is. So if you're saying it's okay for them to fucking do that to them. It's only a matter of time, motherfucker, for they're doing that to you. Fast. That's the way it is, man. Okay? All right. All right. You are a sovereign being, meaning you are the ruler of the kingdom of self. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions exist in unison and come into alignment with natural law, self ownership, or internal monarchy is reached. Balance is established and in keeping with the natural law principle of correspondence, as above, so below, as within is without. The external world is a reflection of the internal world. So, balance in your internal kingdom causes the effect of balance in your external world. And if everybody is embracing that, or even a majority or whatever is embracing that notion, that's how you make the change that you want to see. You're not going to make the change that you want to see by only fucking dealing with the effects of control. And that's what politics is. That's why politics will never bring no real change, because politics is dealing from the realm of effects. It's not causal factors. Politicians don't cause new things to happen. They are the effect of something fucked up, which is called control. That's all politics is. It's trying to control spirituality or whatever. You know, they're fucking control freaks. Can't tell me nothing. You know, that's the way it is. So, all right. This is in keeping with the natural law principle of cause and effect. Just another natural law principle, cause and effect. You know, talked about mentalism. The first one, first Hermetic principle, all is mental. Correspondence, as above, so below, as it was without. How you're feeling internally is, going to reflect on the outside. What you see in other people's is, to a degree, what you see in yourself, type shit. Okay. Uh, When you sit on a throne of authority in your internal kingdom, you have internal monarchy, and the need to have rulers externally is not necessary for you to know what you have the right to do or what you don't have the right to do. I know I'm a king, I'm a sovereign. I rule myself as a king under natural law. I don't need some other motherfucking man to come along and tell me what I have to do, because I'm a grown man. I don't need daddy to tell me what it is that I'm allowed to or what I'm not allowed to do. You know what I mean? I've grown up spiritually, fucking mentally and physically. You know what I mean? I'm still a little baby spiritually and turning everything into a fucking pissing contest because I got to compete with everybody to overcome my fucking insecurities. You know what I'm saying? It's about cooperation, bro. Cooperate with your people. You don't have to fucking compete with them every time. I mean, competition is healthy, but to the point, like, we're fucking killing each other over just competition of shit that's fucking irrelevant to freedom. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers is killing themselves over shit that is irrelevant to freedom. What the fuck does that tell you? That the only thing that's really important, bitch, is if you're free or you're a fucking slave. To me, anyway. Uh, I can only assume that other motherfuckers feel like, you, yo, that's the only options, B. You know what I'm saying? You're either free or you're a fucking slave. So, you know what I'm saying? Make your choice. Authority isn't truth. Truth is authority. True authority rests within each individual. True authority rests within each individual. Abdication of your responsibility of self-governance and thinking you can hand that responsibility to some external force or some of the causal factors to the suffering humanity faces today, that they've given up their minds to think for themselves and have allowed the fucking media to tell them what they should be thinking, going against their spirit, going against their emotional body, which is your spirit. You are sinning against the spirit every time you refuse to follow through on your emotions. When your emotions are telling you, oh, son, this ain't the right motherfucking thing to do, because the emotions are your moral compass. And they, when your emotions is telling you fucking fear or love. You know what I'm saying? I see somebody helping an old lady across the street. I see love as aesthetically pleasing. My emotions are like, oh, that's what's up, helping an old lady across the street. Or you see somebody doing something nice, whatever, fucking animals, you know what I mean? You're like, great, this is great. But then when you see like some type of violence, unless you're a fucking sociopath and you get off on violence, but then that's a whole nother issue. But for the majority of people who are fucking half conscious, you know what I'm saying? They'll see some fucked up, violent shit, and the emotions will be like, damn, man, that's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? That's your moral compass. You know what I'm saying? When you sin against that, when you don't follow through on that, you are sinning against the spirit. That's what the fuck that means. So keep abdicating your responsibilities for self-govern, and that's what we dealing with. Okay. All right. As a collective, we have handed our natural law rights over to use force to other individuals, groups, and entities. We have abdicated our own personal responsibility, which is the foundational basis for the discovery and understanding of natural law. So, because we gave up our responsibility to learn and rule our kingdom of self, because we gave that up, we will never be presented with an opportunity to discover and understand natural laws. What I'm saying that in order for you to understand and discover natural law, it requires you to take personal responsibility. And I mean, you know, yeah, for everything. You know what I mean? Like for everything you say, for everything you think. You know what I mean? Like what are you, I mean, basing your rhetoric and what you believe and what you energy you put out into the air based in truth, or is it based in lies? And this shit is easy to figure the fuck out at this day and age, man. I mean, come on. I mean, it's easy. I got hundreds of books on it. Display the fuck, tell you about the cage all day long. I'll tell you how the cage feels, what it's made of, what kind of iron. It's all fucking about the cage. You know what I mean? The Kyballion is unlocking that motherfucking cage. So, yeah, man. So it's possible to know. And like I said, when you put lies up against natural law, they fold like fucking lawn chairs on hot summer days. All right. As a collective, we have handed our natural law rights over to use force. We've handed our ability. We say, police, come and protect me. Oh, I can't protect myself. Obviously, not in some states, but some states say you can't defend yourself. You have to call the police to come and defend you. It's fucking ridiculous. You are taking away their natural law right of self defense. You know what I'm saying? You have to have the ability to defend yourself. You know what I mean? You have the natural law right under God to defend yourself. Period. Like, it's not even up for debate. When these motherfuckers come along and tell you can't defend yourself, you got to call them. You have to check what the fuck it is. Stop using euphemism to describe what the fuck is taking place when someone tells you that you can't have your God given rights. What is taking place in that moment? And stop using euphemisms and be fucking real. Okay. If you truly respect authority, you know the only God given right you have to control something is yourself. It's the only thing you have the right to control is yourself. If you choose to abdicate your responsibilities of authorship in your kingdom of self, you are abandoning rulership in your internal kingdom. And now you're allowing someone else, because consciousness can only be elevated or manipulated. That's the only thing that can happen. And your consciousness is your thoughts, emotions, and actions. That's all consciousness is. That's the expression of consciousness plays out as thoughts, emotions, and actions. So if your thoughts and emotions and actions are not being ruled by you, they're being ruled by fucking Disney or God knows whatever the fuck else people allow to come through the gateway to their soul. That's your eyes. The eyes are the gateway to the soul. What the fuck are you taking in through them? We all have to ask ourselves that. I'm saying I ain't fucking perfect, though. You know what I'm saying? I ain't on my fucking high horse. I'm saying this is a standard we gotta hold ourselves to. If we gonna fucking change this miserable motherfucking condition that we live in, and bitch, don't try to tell me it ain't. Cause I fucking and look, you don't have to let you make you sad. You got a fucking job to do, a real job, not a bogus ass fucking job for money that don't mean shit. You actually get some real fucking fulfillment when you are fucking, teaching freedom, teaching natural law, you know what I mean, or living that shit. Like fuck it, you don't even have to teach it. Bet you teach it just by living it is teaching it good enough. That's the best teacher, actually. You know what I mean? So, but this shit set you free, man. Okay. If you truly respect authority, you know the only God-given right you have to control something is yourself. If you choose to abdicate your responsibilities of authorship in your kingdom of self, you are abandoning rulership of your internal kingdom. The throne in your eternal kingdom is up for grabs. What I mean is your consciousness is up for grabs, and consciousness can either be elevated or manipulated. That's it. When no authority is present within an individual, they are in a state of internal anarchy. Anarchy means no rulers. It doesn't mean no rules. We're gonna use words as the fuck they're actually defined as, and we're not gonna make up new fucking definitions for words. The word anarchy means no rulers. All right, not no rules. So you better keep in my fucking place. All right. The throne in your internal kingdom is up for grabs, and what I mean is your consciousness is uh consciousness is up for grabs, because consciousness can either be elevated or manipulated. And if you think the enemy and somebody else is going to elevate your consciousness, again, you're a goofy, and you can't abdicate your responsibility of raising your own conscious to somebody else and think that you're actually going to make progress spiritually or any fucking way. You know what I mean? It's like asking somebody to learn how to do carpentry for you. This is the same fucking thing, but on a spiritual realm, on the invisible realm, because we know through hermetic principles, for every action is opposite and reaction. So for every seen world there's an unseen world, and we have the spiritual realm, and the motherfucking spiritual realm and the material realm are working with each other all the time. They're not two separate places. They are. The spiritual world is going on as we speak. You know what I'm saying? But we can't see it with these five senses. Our five sense perception is fucking holds us back. You know what I mean? That's what it is. We see less than 10% or whatever the number is. I mean, of actually what's going on. I mean, you just look at a fucking microscope and you see, bet you don't know what's going on. Same thing with a telescope. You know, that's the macro. The micro is the microscope, seeing how small it is. And they all reflect each other. You know what I'm saying? The makeups of the atom reflect, the cells, and cells, the fucking solar system. The solar system reflects the universe, and etc. And it's holographic by nature. You know what I'm saying? Like, you take a hologram and you pull a piece of a hologram out. You don't fucking rip the hologram in half. You create a whole nother fucking hologram on a smaller scale, on another scale, but it is whole. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. That's what that means. It's holographic, meaning everything reflects each other. The laws of nature apply to everything in the natural world. If it's not in the natural world, it's artificial, it's man-made. So if you can't go out and find it in nature, it's not natural. It's artificial, it's man-made, it's bullshit. Until we get our act together as humanity, if we could raise our consciousness to, you know what I'm saying, we could then maybe have a little faith that man might make a motherfucking good decision for everyone else. You know what I mean? And not this selfish ass fucking world we live in today, where everybody's only out for their own goddamn self, hyper individualistic, don't give a fuck about nobody, will bitch you're gonna learn that you need your brothers and sisters. All right, let me get through this. Uh, so you have eternal anarchy. It means you have no ruler. You have chose for there to be no ruler of the kingdom of self. You have chose to ignore truth, and the effect of that decision is internal confusion. Internal confusion. There's nobody ruling, there's confusion. Internal confusion leads to a state of internal chaos. You're chaos. It's chaotic. There's confusion. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on. Chaos. And the individual becomes easily manipulated by external forces or would-be rulers to convince you that external authorities violating your God-given rights, or your natural law, whatever you want to call it, rights, is okay and even necessary for order to be brought to society. They actually convince you of that. They actually convince you by them violating your fucking natural law rights that somehow that's necessary to bring order and stability to where it is that you live. Go figure. Not happening ever. Guarantee it. I guarantee you're not going to achieve freedom or these ideas that you fucking have of freedom by going down that road. Impossible. I've looked at it so long, man. Trust me. If I thought you could, tried to weasel around it for fucking years and shit. And I finally came back to the book and I'm like, God damn, this thing got all the motherfucking answers. You know what I'm saying? Once you know the cage, and then these are the keys. You see the keys right away. I see the keys right away. See, I know what all the bullshit is, so I see it right away. Motherfuckers, they don't change. They do what they do, and they just keep doing the same thing. So it's easy to spot. Most spots. I mean, I'm more concerned about who got the keys to get out of the Matrix. Who's the Maravonian in the Matrix movie? What's the Maravonian? You know what I'm saying? The key maker. All right. Oh, shit. We got a couple minutes left. All right. When no authority is present within an individual, they're in a state of internal anarchy. Internal anarchy means no internal ruler. You have chose for there to be no ruler of the kingdom of self. You have chose to ignore truth, and the effect of that decision is internal confusion. Internal confusion leads to a state of internal chaos, and the individual becomes easily manipulated by external forces or would-be rulers to convince you that external authorities violating your God-given rights or your natural law of rights is okay and even necessary for order to be brought to society. The natural law principle of vibration states that everything is a vibratory energy comprised of sound energy or frequency. Sound and vibration give rise to the physical forms. We can see that in Kymatics. That's why speaking truth to power of what our natural law of rights are is necessary in a time of utter deceit, because truth, a frequency of sound. We speak the sound. The frequency, we build forms. You know what I'm saying? We're speaking truth to power. We can change the conditions of the outside world when we admit this truth, frequency, to change the poisonous conditioning of other people's minds. Change our own mind, but change other people's minds. Be the alchemist and influence those who, get in line with truth and natural law. What we hold in our minds reflects our behavior and shapes the world around us. The natural law principle of rhythm shows us things move in cycles. This is good for recognizing how opportunity presents itself to us over and over, and for those who do not learn from history, they're sure to suffer, and that's why they say it's cyclical. It goes in cycles, and if you don't learn from it, you're sure to suffer. I'm about to run out of time for recording, so all right, yeah, man. So I'll just pick up on the next video where I left off here and continue with some more. I talked about some of the natural law principles. You know what I'm saying? It's a big subject. It's a lot to fit in. So, questions or comments, or want to continue the dialogue in some way, I'll let you boy. St. Pete, I'm out. Peace.